Today, we will discuss the challenges that Duchenne muscular dystrophy, or DMD, can present in the classroom, and how teachers may approach supporting a student with DMD and be aware of necessary accommodations in the school setting. So, let's say that you are the teacher and a new student with DMD is going to be joining your class. What should you do? Before they join the class, you can take the time to explain what DMD is to your students. DMD affects muscles, which makes it challenging for students with DMD to move around, and the effects are progressive, meaning the muscle weakness increases over time. In simple terms, muscles will slowly get weaker, and this eventually leads to students with DMD needing wheelchairs to get around. It is also very important to emphasize acceptance and tolerance within the classroom, so that young students understand that students with DMD may have a different set of challenges than most, but are worthy of respect, kindness, and inclusivity. Now at this point, you can talk about how your other students can help their new classmate with DMD. A student may ask what they should do, or you can bring it up yourself, so that all other students recognize the areas of life where someone with the DMD might need additional assistance. So, how can classmates help students with DMD? One way that students can help the student with DMD is to consider that getting to a standing position from sitting in a chair is difficult. In that case, offering a hand or something to hold onto to pull themselves up can be very helpful. Another way to help a student with DMD is to give them a friend to walk with when walking long distances. Walking can be very tiring, so different students can have the opportunity to walk with them to class or wherever they need to go. Keep in mind that they will walk more slowly and will need time for breaks, and other students could also help by carrying their books or backpack. It is also important to consider that things like PE, recess, and sports present another issue for students with DMD. These activities can be challenging, and the student may not be able to participate. You can have students brainstorm different inclusive group activities that everyone can participate in that don't involve walking or running, like playing games in a circle or playing board games. If you are working with middle school or high school students in a class that requires taking notes, you could also discuss a note borrowing system so that the student with DMD has access to lecture notes from other students. Students with DMD may need these notes due to several reasons, including their many absences for different doctor's appointments and potential challenges with writing and keeping up with the speed of the lecture. Now that you've spoken to your students about the ways that they can help, as a teacher, there are also other aspects of the classroom that you will need to take into consideration. So, what are other ways that a teacher specifically can accommodate to the student? Students with DMD, if still ambulatory, will find it difficult to get up from sitting on the floor. To prevent this, you can avoid floor activities altogether. If floor activities are necessary, you can provide a chair for the students so they avoid sitting on the floor. But ideally, you organize a system in which several students are sitting in chairs with them, so that it is not isolating and does not single out the ways that your student has to move differently through the world. It is also important to consider that DMD does not just affect muscles, and many students with DMD have learning and/or behavioral disabilities that can impact the way they learn. Students with DMD have an increased risk of having dyslexia, which impacts reading, dyscalculia, which impacts math, and dysgraphia, which impacts written communication. They are also at an increased risk of having ADHD, autism, and OCD. So in the classroom setting, it is important to recognize that your students may have one or more of these disorders and may require additional or alternative resources and support to succeed. If you keep these elements in mind as you welcome your student with DMD to your classroom, you will promote an accepting and inclusive environment for people of all levels of ability. Thank you.